So what we're going to be doing today is shooting the Barnett Whitetail Hunter STR. This is the bow I did the review on. Excuse me. And we're going to be doing a comparison video between the 4 bolts that I did the review on. We're going to have two 22 inches bolts, the Barnett Headhunter, the Rudox Aries, the Bloodsport Witness, and the Black Eagle Executioner. We'll also be doing 2 tests. So I'm going to shoot one of the tests. The first test is going to be with a 100 grain field point, and then the second one's I'm going to step it up to 25 more grains to go to 125 grain. And I've already weighed these out. I got these off of Amazon, and I weighed every one of them. They weigh exactly the same, so I was pretty surprised about that. So here's the 125s. It actually has 125s on them, so I'm going to go ahead and take those guys off. I'm going to put the 100 grains back on. And while I'm doing this, don't forget to go down, hit that thumbs up, let us know you are here. Before I get started, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Go to that bell, set it for notifications so you can see all our videos when they come up. We post on Mondays usually. Sometimes we're looking at probably doing one in the middle of the week also, as we start the channel starts growing as it is. And I want to thank you guys for that. We did the 100 subscriber giveaway, and by the time we got the drawing done, we had shot way past it, and now we're on our way to 300. So I'm super stoked about you guys. You guys are awesome. So let me get this arrow set up and we'll get shooting. Now the whole purpose for this thing, in case you're wondering why am I doing this test? Well, it's because I've been toying with the idea of stepping up by 25 grains for my hunting broadheads. I've hunted with the 100 grain broadhead for basically my whole entire life. And I started looking at some numbers, and there's a site out there. It's a Realtree site where you can put in the parameters of your crossbow, or actually your bow in general, and your weight of your bolt, and it'll show you the kinetic energy that's generated, and also the momentum calculator as well. That's actually what it's called, is a momentum calculator. And my roosters are trying to chip in today too. So, all right, so I got the bolts all set up. Let's So let's get shooting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to cock and load the bow, and then I'll show you what it looks like with the 22-inch bolt on it, and also one with a 20-inch bolt on it. Obviously, it's going to make a lot of difference. So before I get started, and this is always something important, is to wax your rail. Barnett provided some wax. So just wax your rail. That makes sure your bolts slide nice and clean. And then just rub it in there. You don't want big globs of wax on here. This is a little bit warm. It's actually pretty nice today. It's in the mid 70s right now. We've actually had some wonderful spring weather. All right, so to cock this, pretty easy. It's just like every other crossbow. Put your foot through the step-through riser. This is one of the things about the step-through riser is there's no extra chunks hanging out the front. All right, there's a little gap, a little place to put the rope on the back side of the stock. Backwards. There we go. All right. And how do I know it's backwards? Because the hooks are facing the wrong direction. So you want to make your hooks face towards the back of the crossbow. All right, so we're going to hook that on. And then I'm going to grab this other one. Now, this crossbow rope is a little bit short as far as you don't want it to go all the way down. And then you pull it straight up. And the way Barnett's cocker is designed is when it comes back, it locks it in place and secures the safety. So you are ready to rock and roll. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of it. Now, one thing I have wondered about, and this is something I'm going to test today, is what if you're in a deer stand and you shoot and miss? Well, the deer don't always run off because, they don't know what happened. It may have been a stick fell in the wood. So they may run a little bit and come back out where they're at. Well, they never really leave your peripheral where you're at. So how are you going to cock your crossbow without them seeing you? So obviously, is there a way to not have to stand up to do it? And I'm going to show you the way I've done it in a deer stand, just to practice this and see how do you cock your crossbow in the deer stand. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the first shot, but I'm going to show you how to load the bolt. So we're going to start off with the Headhunter. This is the Barnett Headhunter. All right, so let me get down here. All right, so this is going to take this has got 2 greens and a white. So the white goes down. It's going to slide along the rail. And right here, you see the little toothbrush thing right here? So this is going to slide all the way up underneath that toothbrush. Oops, underneath the toothbrush, we get this angle right here. And it's going to come to the back here and lock in to the back of there's a silver latch where the string is hanging on. If you can see that in there. And that's fully loaded. All right, so this thing is fully ready to go, and you can see how far this sticks out of the riser up into the riser. So this is the minimum or maximum length that Barnett recommends, and 20 is the minimum amount they recommend. So I know they do make 18-inch bolts, but when I put the 20 in here, you'll see after I put the 20 in here, if we went to 18, this bolt would be way down the rail here, so not very safe. All right, now I've got the camera down by the target that we're going to be seeing the impact on, and what I'm going to be shooting, at the target I've got 6 squares with a dot in the middle. Now I'm going to shoot across the top dots first. I'm going to go dot, middle, middle. And the reason why I'm doing this and not shooting at the same spot is because I have a propensity to almost Robin Hood my bolts, because this thing is really accurate. That's one thing I want to mention. It is super accurate. All right, so let's get shooting here. I'm going to shoot from the left dot first. Alright. Now, like I said, deer stand, alright? So here we are sitting at the deer stand. Trying to do this quietly. This is one of the reasons why I have looked at possibly getting a automatic cocker just for this particular purpose right here. All that noise, I'm afraid, would run the deer off anyway, that clicking and clanking sound of the rope popping off the rails. Alright, now we're going to shoot the Regox Aries. So same thing, it's got 2 greens and a white. So the odd colored fletching goes down into your rail, slides along into the lock spot. And now I'm going to be shooting it into the middle of the 2 blocks there. Alright. Now we go to the 20s. Alright, so I'm going to get back up again. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this again, demonstrate this one more time. So, sitting in the stand, got this on my foot so it don't fall out. And one thing I have noticed about the step through riser is it's big enough to put your big fat boot in the middle of it. That's one thing that nobody has asked yet. I'm surprised that nobody asked, because the toes of boots these days seem to be growing more and more. I don't know why. I guess they're trying to put more Thinsulate in them or something. I'm not really sure. All right, so I'm going to shoot the Bloodsport first, because I'm saving my newest acquisition for last. All right, so same thing. This has got 2 reds and a white. Slide it down into the lock spot, and you can see how this is where this comes up. So where the 22 was way up here, this is a 20. Now they do have this little depression in here. I don't know if you can see that, where your broadhead could extend if you had a shorter bolt. I would not put a shorter bolt on here. Just, but you can see it's right at the top of the riser here, so your broadhead would be sitting inside of this area, so you don't have anything to worry about it bumping into anything. Alright, this is the Bloodsport Witness. I'm going to shoot into the middle dot. Middle center dot. Alright. Nailed that one. Alright, now, one more. Now this Executioner's got 2 whites and a red, so they decided to go off the reservation here and change up where your white is usually your color that goes down. And I'm going to shoot into the middle now of the 2 blocks. Alright. So that is the 100 grain shots. Now we're going to mark those spots because I'm going to aim at the same exact spots with the 125 grain. See if 25 grains really makes a difference as far as does it make the arrow drop faster or whatever. But I have noticed, if you notice, the 2 22-inch bolts shot significantly lower than the 20-inch bolts did. And all right, guys, as you can see, we this was. So I aimed this arrow at this dot. This arrow was shot at the middle here. This arrow was shot at this dot, and this arrow was shot in the middle of this one here. So, but you can see the 22-inch bolts, these 2 right here, are much lower than the 20-inch bolts are, which I'm not really sure why, honestly, because the weight of these are all, relatively the same as we saw on the last video. So let me get these guys yanked out, and we're going to run the next test. I got the 125 grain ones loaded up. Let's run through this test. So my thoughts are that there's not going to be much difference between the two. And I say that mostly because of, from my experience of reloading, between two different bullets, traveling from the same gun with the same powder, doesn't change the speed very much between the two. Now it does have some difference on some things, but what I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't have as much impact as you would think. But what it does have on the other end is the additional kinetic energy that is generated from that heavier projectile. All right, so same thing. We're going to shoot at the dot to the left, top first, and then we're going to work our way across. All right, that was the Barnett Headhunter. This is the Regox Aries. Bloodsport Witness. And last but not least, the Black Eagle Executioner. All right. So as you can see, like I said, didn't change very much. 25 grains as far as the slowing the speed of the crossbow down. I think it's just judging from the impact of the bolts from this distance at 20 yards. You know, I don't think it had any measurable difference in speed. The only way to know for sure is to chrono the bow, see what the speed is with each individual bolt, to see what that deal is. But looking from the impact it looks like it's exactly the same place where the previous 100 grain bolts landed. So my conclusion is that 25 grains does not affect the speed of the crossbow. Might block target something else. One thing I did notice that I didn't mention is how much more the 20-inch bolts go in than the 22 inches do. That's another one of those things that got me puzzled on as far as speed goes. All right, so my conclusion to this exercise is that the 25 grain addition didn't make a difference as far as the overall speed of the bow, didn't change the impact of the bolts. But I did observe something as I was pulling the bolts out, both for the 100 and the 125 grain, is that the 22-inch bolts did not penetrate the target as much as the 20-inch bolts did. And that's another part about that momentum or kinetic energy, is getting passed through passed through the animal and making a killing shot. So if you can get the bolt to go all the way through your animal, whatever it is. So for whitetails in the south, unless you meet one of those Kalijah giant enormous bucks, which I've never seen, except at the Dixie Deer Classic. But I would say that the 100 grain broadhead would probably do its job. But let's say another thing we hunt here in North Carolina is hogs. Now, I've never been hog hunting, but I am planning on going hog hunting very soon. And because they're feral hogs, so we have open season on them, and I'm going to go try to find a place to go doing some hog hunting. We have game lands, and I would love to kill a hog with my crossbow. That'd be pretty awesome. But where I'm going with that is, a hog is much thicker than a deer is. So the more momentum and kinetic energy you can generate, the better chance of a complete pass-through you'll have. Or just a good penetration in general, because you want to make the most damage as you possibly can as that bolt is going in, or that broadhead is going in. And that's where I started down this journey of looking at heavier bolts versus lighter bolts, or how much was too much or how much was not enough, or whether it'd make a difference. And I don't know if you guys, there's a guy I watch on YouTube called Death by Bungie. He does a lot of he's just changing over from his previous using the Excalibur, one of those big crossbows, the traditional type of crossbow with the recurve limbs on it, and he just changed over to a new one. But he's talked a lot about kinetic energy, and I think he did 2 videos, one for why you should use heavy bolts, and then one why you shouldn't use heavy bolts. So I thought that was kind of cool. So if you want to go check that out. So I got a lot of good information from him, but I wanted to run my own test, because running our own tests, from our own thing can generate some different data. And that Realtree momentum calculator, and I'll put the link down in the description so you can use it.
Basically what you do, you put your parameters in there, and you hit the go button, and then it'll tell you it's got a a moose or a deer or whatever. So so far when I put all of these in there with the bow speed and all that, everything moosed. Means that I could kill a moose with this crossbow, at a certain distance. Now, I'm not a big fan of shooting crossbows over 40 yards. Some guys are big fans of it. I am a expert rifleman. I could probably make a shot at 50 yards. I just don't know that I feel confident enough about doing it. Mainly for the same reason that we're talking about that pass-through. So ideally, you want that bolt to go completely through your animal and make two holes, one going in, one going back out. And if you use some of the more traditional type broadheads out there, those new ones, the expandable ones, they make some tremendous wound damage. I mean, coming in at, making a hole that's about 1.25 inches and then coming out at 2.5 inches. That just blows me away when you think about the amount of wound channel that creates. But all that movement of things, I'm wondering, does it deter from the pass through of the bolt? Does those expandable things, if they happen to expand and catch a rib on the expansion, does it change the direction of the bolt or slow it down or whatever? I don't know. Versus having a fixed broadhead. And after my experience this year with using the expandable broadheads, I'm not really, the jury's still out on that. Because the first one I shot, I felt like the broadhead never opened, because the wound that was on that deer didn't even make it. Probably went all the way through, I know, because of blood on the arrow, but the broadhead must not have deployed, and that was that was the one I used at the very beginning, and I fired them real quick, and then we went to the next broadheads, and I ended up killing the deer a couple weeks later, and it made a tremendous, I hit rib and everything. I made a huge hole coming back out. So I had good pass through with that one, but as you know, my bolt broke again. So I started looking at why are these bolts breaking? This is not something I know guys use bolts, and they shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. They kill many animals with them, and the bolt never breaks. Yet I had 2 occasions where the bolts gave up the ghost. One the insert came out of, and then the other one the bolt just snapped right in half. And I'm wondering if it's one of those things where that broadhead expanded, and as it was going through it, when it hit the ribs on the other side, it made such a torque on the bolt that it snapped it in half. But all the pieces must have come out of the deer, because when I processed that deer, I didn't find anything inside. So I guess the other end in my broadhead is somewhere laying in the woods somewhere, who knows where. But at any rate, I just wanted to do this video with you guys, something I've been pondering on and something I've been planning for a while. And the next one we're going to do a chrono shot with my new chronograph. I got a Caldwell chrono, and I'm going to shoot my crossbow through it, and then Brian's also going to shoot his compound bow through it, and we're going to compare and contrast the speed of those 2 bows, because I know my crossbow is significantly faster, but his bow's not far behind. And by utilizing different kinds of, he's using fairly short arrows. I think they're only 24 inches, 24 or 26 inches maybe. And maybe more. I may be misspeaking on that one. So let's scratch that one. Scratch that, because I don't have the data on that. So we're gonna just bleep that one out, because I don't want to speak out of turn. But I'm curious as to, is that going to make any difference? And then we'll do some more shooting. We're going to do some fishing videos pretty soon, because I don't know if you can hear the plopping and glopping out here in my pond. The brim are on the bed right now, and the bass are just sitting off the edge there, waiting for them, waiting for their fry to hatch so they can gobble them up. And I'm looking at probably doing some restocking this year too. So if I do that, I'll bring you guys along with that. But just remember to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and share the video so we can have more people seeing what we're doing over here, and maybe they'll be interested as well. But beyond all that, I want you to remember that this is God's country. Have a great day.